2025 CSLB Contractors, License Law and Business Questions and Answers. Part 6. By Paint Thinner Gang. These are practice questions. These are not the exact same questions the state will give you. These Q&A will help you pass by studying them. What is the general age requirement for operating hazardous machinery in California? Individuals must be 18 years or older to operate most heavy or hazardous machinery. Can 16 or 17-year-olds operate machinery in California? Yes, but only non-hazardous machinery as defined by state and federal labor laws. What types of machinery are prohibited for minors under 18? Prohibited machinery includes power-driven woodworking machines, forklifts, metal forming machines, and circular saws. Are minors under 16 allowed to operate any machinery? No. Minors under 16 are prohibited from operating machinery in any work environment. Can 16 or 17-year-olds operate agricultural machinery? Yes, if they have completed specific safety training. What exceptions exist for 14 and 15-year-olds in agricultural work? They may operate certain machinery with a special student learner exemption. Are there penalties for employers who violate machinery operation laws? Yes. Violations can result in significant fines and penalties under California labor laws and the FLSA. Can minors operate office equipment like printers or copiers? Yes, standard office equipment is generally considered non-hazardous. What should employers verify before allowing minors to operate machinery? Employers must confirm the machinery is non-hazardous and complies with state and federal labor laws. Are there restrictions on operating power-driven hoisting devices? Yes. Minors under 18 are prohibited from operating hoisting devices like forklifts. Can a 17-year-old operate a guillotine shear in a workshop? No. Guillotine shears are classified as hazardous machinery. Is specific training required for minors operating non-hazardous machinery? Yes, employers must provide training tailored to the equipment. What laws govern machinery operation by minors? California labor laws and the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. Can employers be held liable for accidents involving minors operating machinery? Yes, employers may face legal consequences if they violate labor laws. Are there work permits required for minors to operate machinery? Yes, minors need a valid work permit to be employed and operate allowed machinery. Are there hour restrictions for minors operating machinery? Yes. Minors' work hours are restricted depending on their age and whether school is in session. Can a 16-year-old operate light kitchen equipment, such as a dishwasher? Yes, as long as the equipment is not classified as hazardous. Are construction sites off-limits for minors? Generally, yes, especially if the site involves hazardous machinery or environments. What role does safety training play in machinery operation for minors? Safety training is critical to ensure compliance and reduce the risk of accidents. Are employers in California required to withhold state income taxes from employees' paychecks? Yes. Employers must withhold California state income taxes. What is the employer's responsibility regarding federal payroll taxes? Employers must withhold and pay federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare taxes. Do employers pay state unemployment insurance UI taxes? Yes. Employers fund UI taxes to support unemployment benefits. Are employees responsible for paying state disability insurance, SDI? Yes. SDI is typically withheld from employees' paychecks at 0.9% of gross wages up to $153,164, 2023. What percentage of gross wages is withheld for Social Security tax for employees? 6.2%, up to the annual wage base of $160,200, 2023. What percentage of gross wages is withheld for Medicare tax for employees? 1.45%, with an additional 0.9% on wages over $200,000, single filers. How much do employers contribute to Social Security and Medicare taxes? Employers match 6.2% for Social Security and 1.45% for Medicare, with no cap on the latter. What is the Federal Unemployment Tax Act, FUTA rate? 6% on the first $7,000 of each employee's wages, reduced by credits for state unemployment contributions. What is the state unemployment insurance, UI rate in California for employers? Rates range from 1.5% to 6.2%, applied to the first $7,000 of each employee's wages, depending on the employer's experience rating. What is the employment training tax, ETT rate? 0.1% on the first $7,000 of each employee's wages. Why is proper classification important? Misclassification can result in penalties, back wages, and unpaid taxes. Are independent contractors required to pay self-employment taxes? Yes. Contractors must pay both the employee and employer portions of Social Security, 12.4%, and Medicare, 2.9% taxes. Can an employer classify a worker as an independent contractor to avoid taxes? No. Improper classification is illegal and subject to penalties. What forms are used for independent contractors? Employers issue a 1099 NEC for payments made to contractors. What is California's minimum wage in 2025? $16.50 for all employers regardless of size. Are tipped employees subject to a lower minimum wage? No. California requires tipped employees to receive the full minimum wage. Are employers required to provide itemized wage statements? Yes. Detailed wage statements are mandatory under California law. What is the penalty for failing to provide accurate wage statements? Employers may face fines of up to $4,000 per employee for repeated violations. How long must payroll records be kept? Employers must retain payroll records for at least 4 years. Are employers required to provide health insurance? Employers with 50-plus full-time employees must provide health insurance under the ACA. Can employers deduct the cost of uniforms? No, employers cannot require employees to pay for uniforms if it reduces their wages below the minimum wage. What is the Cal Savers program? It's a retirement savings program for employees whose employers don't offer retirement plans. Must employers offer paid sick leave? Yes, at least 5 days, 40 hours, annually for eligible employees. Are vacation days required by law? No. But if offered, unused vacation must be paid out upon termination. How often are employers audited by the EDD? Audits are typically triggered by complaints, misclassification issues, or discrepancies in filings. What are common reasons for payroll tax penalties? Late payments, misclassification, and underreporting wages. Can employers appeal tax penalties? Yes, employers can appeal to the EDD or through the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. What is the look-back period for payroll tax compliance? The EDD typically reviews up to 3 years of records during audits. Are nonprofit organizations exempt from payroll taxes? No. Nonprofits must still comply with payroll tax laws for employees. Are employers in California required to withhold state income taxes from employees' paychecks? Yes. Employers must withhold California state income taxes. What is the employer's responsibility regarding federal payroll taxes? Employers must withhold and pay federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare taxes. Do employers pay state unemployment insurance UI taxes? Yes. Employers fund UI taxes to support unemployment benefits. Are employees responsible for paying state disability insurance, SDI? Yes, SDI is typically withheld from employees' paychecks. What forms must employers provide for tax reporting? Employers must provide W-2 forms to employees and 1099 forms for independent contractors. When are W-2 forms due to employees? By January 31st each year. Are employers required to withhold federal unemployment taxes, FUTA? Yes, FUTA is paid solely by employers. What is the penalty for failing to withhold taxes? Employers may face fines, back taxes, and interest for non-compliance. Are employers required to report new hires to the state? Yes, employers must report new hires within 20 days to the Employment Development Department, EDD. How often must payroll taxes be deposited? Depending on the employer's tax liability, deposits may be required monthly, semi-weekly, or quarterly. What is the ABC test? It determines if a worker is an employee or independent contractor based on 3 criteria. Are independent contractors required to pay self-employment taxes? Yes. Contractors must pay both the employee and employer portions of Social Security and Medicare taxes. Can an employer classify a worker as an independent contractor to avoid taxes? No. Improper classification is illegal and subject to penalties. What forms are used for independent contractors? Employers issue a 1099 NEC for payments made to contractors. What is the penalty for late payment of wages? Employers may owe waiting time penalties equal to the daily wage for up to 30 days. Must employers pay overtime? Yes. Overtime is required for hours over 8 in a day or 40 in a week. Are employers required to provide health insurance? Employers with 50-plus full-time employees must provide health insurance under the ACA. Are employers responsible for state disability insurance, SDI? Employers withhold SDI from employees' wages, but do not pay it themselves. What is the California Training Tax, ETT? A tax paid by employers to fund workforce training programs. Do household employers have tax obligations? Yes. Household employers must withhold and pay state and federal payroll taxes for domestic workers. Are payroll taxes higher in California than in other states? California's rates are among the highest due to programs like SDI and PFL. When must final wages be paid after termination? On the last day of work for involuntary terminations, and within 72 hours for resignations. Must employers pay accrued vacation upon termination? Yes. Accrued vacation is considered earned wages. What documentation is required upon termination? Employers must provide a final paycheck and any required notices, e.g., COBRA, EDD pamphlets. Are severance packages required? No. Severance pay is not mandatory in California. Can employers withhold final pay for unreturned property? No. Final pay cannot be delayed or reduced for unreturned items. How often are employers audited by the EDD? Audits are typically triggered by complaints, misclassification issues, or discrepancies in filings. What are common reasons for payroll tax penalties? Late payments, misclassification, and underreporting wages. Can employers appeal tax penalties? Yes, employers can appeal to the EDD or through the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board. How long must payroll records be kept? Employers must retain records for at least 4 years. Are there penalties for failing to provide wage statements? Yes, up to $4,000 per employee for repeated violations. Are employers required to display workplace posters? Yes, employers must post labor law notices in a visible location. Can employers offer benefits to independent contractors? Generally, no. Offering benefits may blur classification lines. Are signing bonuses taxable? Yes. Signing bonuses are subject to income tax withholding. What is the look-back period for payroll tax compliance? Typically, the EDD reviews up to 3 years of records during audits. Are employers required to offer paid COVID-19 sick leave? Special COVID-19 sick leave requirements have expired but may be reintroduced. Can employers require proof of vaccination? Yes, with reasonable accommodations for medical or religious exemptions. Are unemployment benefits taxable in California? Yes. Unemployment benefits are subject to federal taxes but not state taxes. Do employers pay taxes on COVID-19 relief funds? No. Forgiven PPP loans and other relief funds are not taxable. Can employees deduct remote work expenses? Employees may qualify for federal deductions if they meet specific criteria, though California does not offer similar deductions. What are the rules for meal breaks? Employees must receive a 30-minute unpaid meal break for shifts over 5 hours. Are additional meal breaks required for longer shifts? Yes, a second meal break is required for shifts over 10 hours. Are rest breaks paid? Yes, employees are entitled to a 10-minute paid rest break for every 4 hours worked. What is reporting time pay? Employees scheduled to work but sent home early may be entitled to a minimum amount of reporting time pay. When does overtime pay begin? Overtime begins after 8 hours in a day or 40 hours in a work week. What is the overtime rate? 1.5 times the regular hourly rate. Employees must provide the contractor with Form W-4A on the day they join the company. Which of the following payroll taxes does not have a limit? B. FIT. You must report FICA and withheld income tax, Form 941, every C. 3 months. If the client wants to cancel the contract after signing it on Monday morning, what is the latest the client has to turn in the signed cancel form to cancel? D. Wednesday midnight. If a renter wants to remodel an interior of a house they rent, who should you have sign off on a project? B. The owner of the property. What is the last step before turning in a project to a client and releasing? C. Walking with the client and having a punch list.